Welcome back to the Contrarians, everyone. I'm Tim Derling with Martin Popoff, and on this episode, it's another in our continuing series, a relatively new series, where the Contrarians attempt to build a concept album. We take existing raw materials from a band or an artist's career, and we seem to think there's a theme there if we dig hard enough. And Martin's actually come up with a double album this time around. He's dug into the relatively small catalog of Led Zeppelin and come up with a really cool concept dealing with the seasons. And he's this time around Led Zeppelin, and we're going to call this one The Rover. That's going to be the title of this double album. And in typical Led Zeppelin fashion, the song The Rover does not appear on this album. We pulled a Houses of the Holy / physical graffiti on you. So, Martin, the building a concept album, Led Zeppelin, take it away.
Yes, all right. So I definitely have Zeppelin on the brain lately because my Led Zeppelin book, where I review every single song, big coffee table book, is back in print again, hardcover throughout, expanded edition. You can get that at martinpopoff.com. Zeppelin, definitely a band that I've been thinking a lot about lately. And Physical Graffiti, I've often called that my favorite album of all time, the aircraft carrier of all albums. And I love that idea of A, it's a double, B, it's got Houses of the Holy on it, which of course is not the title track of that album. It's the title track of the previous album. So I like the idea of the Rover. And the Rover is actually the first thing that came to mind for this concept album anyways, because I originally was going to do it about roving. But it turns out it is about roving anyways, but it happens to be about roving through the seasons. So yes, it's a double album. We're calling it The Rover. Side 1 is winter, side 2 is spring, side 3 is summer, side 4 is fall. And I like this idea because Zeppelin's lyrics are kind of timeless. They haven't linked it to a lot of technology and cars and very specific place names. Although there are sort of larger, more general place names that show up throughout this concept album. And I could have actually done a whole concept album just on literally making a map and doing the travels of the Rover. So, anyways. Yeah, and I guess I cheated a little bit. I was planning on like if there were long songs, just leaving it like 3 per side or whatever. But I've actually got 5, 5, 5, and 4 on this, so it's a pretty long album. So it's probably couldn't really do it on a vinyl concept album. But anyways, so side 1 is winter. We've got some tracks from, and I like the idea that we're looking at these. These types of albums here. So we've got Led Zeppelin 3 and Led Zeppelin 4. We've got, we start out with Immigrant Song. We come from the land of ice and snow, from midnight sun where the hot springs flow. So that sets your winter sort of scene here. We vaguely got a Rover that's coming from northern countries, maybe Scandinavian countries, but it's definitely Europe, Hammer of the Gods. So then we go on to Friends. Friends I've often called my favorite Led Zeppelin song of all time. Sometimes I go with Friends, Celebration Day, In My Time of Dying, usually Celebration Day. But I love Friends so much, and I love that it also feels dark and wintry. That the short days. It's got this really murky sort of quality to it. Black night still there shining. Can't Stop, Keep on Climbing, Met a Man on the Roadside Crying. So we've got this guy starting to rove. He left in winter and he's going, but it's cold and snowy out. And then sort of things heat up and more darkness imagery in the Battle of Evermore, which also feels like it's got that foreboding wintry sort of theme to it. And a very European theme. Prince of Peace, Embrace the Gloom, Walk the Night Alone, Dance in the Dark of Night, The Dark Lord Rides in Force Tonight. And then it had a nice sort of wintry turn near the end in the Dance in the Dark of Night, Sing to the Morning Light, the apples turn to brown and black. So the idea of this is winter time. Four Sticks continues the theme, and again we're staying really tightly with these albums, so it definitely builds this sort of atmosphere from this period of the band, 70, 71. We've got and when the owls cry in the nights, we've got darkness, more darkness imagery and owl imagery. Most people don't know this, but there's a lot of cool sort of owl paranormal links, and you can see a lot of videos of crazy, strange owl stories and owls flying up to cars and looking you in the eye and all this kind of stuff. So owl imagery is kind of cool for this as well. This sort of traveling, foreboding, dark sort of thing. And then we end off side one, winter with no quarter. Again, major snow imagery here. Close the door, put out the light. They won't be home tonight. The snow falls hard, and don't you know, the winds of Thor and blowing cold. So definitely we've just got this rover of ours just on a quest, and it's all a very cold and dark wintry quest. Walking side by side with death. So side two, spring. So we start off with When the Levee Breaks. Again, we've got our Zep 4 going here. So the idea here is that it keeps on raining, levee's going to break. So spring is standard time for lots of rain. And then it does mention the if you're going down south, going or going north to Chicago, so there's still this motion, this roving going on. In this case, it's kind of like the levee's going to break. Then we go into track 2. We've got Achilles' Last Stand. And this has parallels with the travel, with the going south. So we've got a bit of a tie-in with the going to Greece sort of situation. We know all that with the car crash and everything. But it says, it was an April morning when they told us we should go into the sun, the south, the north. So it's funny. It mentions the south and the north the same way the levee mentions the south and the north. Oh, to Ride the Wind. And then Stairway to Heaven, where we've got, this major sort of, seasonal underpinning here with the May Queen thing. So we've got the May rites and that. And this one really feels very springy and also very travel-y as well. In a Tree by the Brook, there's a songbird who sings. There's a feeling when I look to the west and my spirit is crying for leaving. Let's see. Piper will lead us to reason. New day will dawn for those. And the forests will echo with laughter. There's a very spring sort of imagery as well. And the whole song feels that way. If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. It's just a spring clean for the May Queen sort of thing. So yeah, we're into the snow is thawing. There's, the sun's coming out kind of thing. And then just more general spring questing and hiking and roving in Bronyar Stomp. As we walk down the country lanes, I'll be singing a song. Hear me calling your name, hear the wind within the trees, telling Mother Nature about you and me. So again, you've got a lot of that season cycle sort of thing. And this is all sort of vaguely Wiccan and witchy and paranormal sort of thing. Just this whole timeless season cycle thing that goes on. It's got kind of a neat ancient feel to it. We end off this side with the ocean, references to rain, sunshine, singing in the sunshine, laughing in the rain, hitting on the moonshine, rocking in the grain. Got no time to pack my bags. My foot's outside the door. So we end with this, okay, there's some new motion going on as we pull out CD1 and we put in CD2. We get to side 3, which is summer. We've got Out on the Tiles, wandering and wondering where to go sort of thing. It's a walk down the highway. All I do is sing a song. So again, here's our rover continuing on his roving quest. Train that's passing my way. I hope the rhythm's moving along. Just a simple guy, live from day to day. A ray of sunshine melts my frown, blows my blues away. So yeah, as I was putting this together, I thought about the roving. I thought about the specific travel thing. I thought about straight weather patterns. And this album obviously links the weather patterns in with the seasonal thing because again, it's got that sort of Wiccan Led Zeppelin sort of feel. The whole, I guess, gatefold to Led Zeppelin 4 feel, there kind of thing. So let's see. We've got Out on the tiles, go on to Going to California. So we've got the idea of this idea of this rover now crossing the pond and going to California. We know Robert Plant, was fairly enamored with the West Coast hippie music, the psych vibe. So there's a little bit of that in the Going to California. Made up my mind, make a new start. Going to California with aching in my heart. Someone told me there's a girl there with love in her eyes and flower in her hair. Misty Mountain Hop. I always think of that as more of a anchor to Robert Plant's Welsh roots and in Welsh, Wales kind of thing. But it's like walking in the park the other day. Crowds of people sitting on the grass with flowers in their hair. So it feels like, you could link this to the California sort of vibe. Same thing. We move on to track 4. We got Dancing Days. More Dancing Days are here again as the summer evenings grow. I got my flower, I got my woman who knows. So again, these are all perfectly linked together. Song remains the same. California Sunlight, Sweet Calcutta Rain, Honolulu Starbright. The song remains the same. Singing Harry Harry, Dance the Hoochie Coo. So we're essentially hanging out in San Francisco in all of this summer side. And then we move on to the ponderous philosophical side of this album, side 4, which is fall or autumn. Again, this is a very you think of Halloween. This is a very Wiccan, witchy sort of vibe. Hunting, all of that sort of thing. The death of all the vegetation kind of thing. But we start out with Tangerine, which feels like a part of those hippie songs, but it's a little more wistful and pondering here. Measuring a summer's day, I only find it slips away to gray. So here we get, we're entering the fall side of things. Living reflection from a dream, and we know this one just has that sort of melancholy vibe of reflection. So this is our rover starting to reflect on this whole journey. I should do something with my life. What is life all about? Is it about roving? Is it about experiences? And then we've got Ramble On. So he's kind of leaving the idyllic hippie life here. The leaves are falling all around. So there's your anchor to the fall. A time I was on my way. Thanks to you, I'm much obliged for such a pleasant stay. So this is definitely him breaking ties with this roving to the Shangri-La of hippiedom and Haight-Ashbury or whatnot. But now it's time for me to go to the autumn moon lights my way. For now, I smell the rain and with it pain, and it's headed my way. Then we've got Good Times, Bad Times. We go all the way back to we're sort of our rover is circling all the way back to side 1, track 1 of the very first Led Zeppelin album with that memorable opening line, in the days of my youth, I was told what it means to be a man, and now I've reached that age. I've tried to do all the things the best I can. So this is your sort of complete package of pondering on this 4-season rove that this guy did. So we've got, that's track 3, and then we go into track 4. Our final song is the Rain Song, which is kind of more reflection all through the seasons, looking back on the journey. This one's got a verse or stanza that starts in the springtime of my loving, the second season. It mentions sunlight and warmth. Watch the fire. It mentions it is the summer of my smiles, seasons of emotion. And like the winds, they rise and fall. And so the whole lyric to this one feels like the deep reverie on what he's been through in this past season cycle sort of thing. And it's kind of interesting that I didn't put anything from I think we've got we had Achilles from here. Just show all these. I took out all these props, my Zeppelin albums. But basically, it was kind of interesting that a song you wouldn't think would fit in this at all. Hot's On for Nowhere also has that sort of pan-seasonal sort of feel to it as well. But I thought the Rain Song was perfect to end this thing. And just to mention, a couple other ones that I couldn't fit in. I could have gone on, but, Kashmir came to mind. In the Light came to mind. Down by the Seaside came to mind. Night Flight came to mind. So all of these have that motion, that roving thing. Fool in the Rain. So you get the rain with the spring there. So there you go. That's an album, not a super exciting or witty sort of title in the Rover, but the Rover just came to me immediately, and I thought it's got to be called the Rover. And then that the links to physical graffiti I thought was cool. But yeah, Zeppelin. I think this just proves Zeppelin is a real sort of there's a lot of nature lyrics. There's a lot of nature and weather and seasons in it. So there you go, Led Zeppelin, the Rover.
That was great, and I never realized until you got going just how you're right about the lyrics, how timeless they are. Like there are no Led Zeppelin songs that have the word either computer or technology or Facebook. They are very timeless. But my favorite of that whole thing is going from Achilles' Last Stand into Stairway to Heaven, because you've literally got April going into May. That's really cool. You've got April Morning and the May Queen. I'm like, yeah, that's great. And as Zepp are wont to do, those songs that you left off, you also had Fool in the Rain, which would have been a great springtime song too. That's the deluxe edition that they'll eventually put out. And really, I mean, I'm really surprised that the powers that be in the Zeppelin camp or Atlantic Records hasn't, Jimmy Page himself hasn't thought, yeah, because he already knows Zeppelin fans will buy multiple copies of albums they already know. But put this together in a really, really cool package. I can almost picture like the same sort of imagery as the front cover and the inner gatefold of the fourth album. Go with that style, and you could have a really cool concept album about the seasons. And lyrically, it almost sounds like back when, I'm assuming that Plant wrote the majority of the lyrics, that he had this long-term idea and just the puzzle pieces were all scattered.
Yeah, very cool. And it's funny you mentioned that, because when I think of this now, I think of it's autumn. He's gathering twigs for the winter, sort of thing, and even that just for some reason screams seasons. To me, it just seems like, yeah, nature and the passage and decay and all that sort of thing. You definitely could see a little bit of that. But yeah, you're right. That would be amazing to have somebody have Jimmy actually put together a compilation like this. This is one of the neat things about doing this kind of show. It's like, I wish bands would think a little bit more like this when they make these compilations and come up with something different. So
instead of just putting the same albums out again, he's already remastered the songs as much as they could be remastered. The like I said, the raw material's there. Just get somebody to do the cover design up, and you could charge, whatever they charge for a 4-record set now, $300 a pop, and then have like the immersive version of it. Oh yeah, they could really go all out with this. No, I'm not saying I want to spend the money on it, but it would be kind of hard not to, because it's a cool concept. It's a cool idea.
Yeah, and Robert could write a really cool set of liner notes on seasons and the cycles of man and all this sort of thing, right? So yeah, it's
you could even, I just thought of that. You could have even thrown, I know it's a cover, but Traveling Riverside Blues, that could have been somewhere in there, maybe in the summer section too. Yeah. So yeah, and it's cool how, like, typically we like to do these as a 5 songs a side, like an old school vinyl record, 10 songs, but in that last one there's four songs, accounting for the Rain song being a little bit longer. So yeah, this could totally work.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, there you go, building a concept album where there was none before. This time around, Led Zeppelin, and Martin did a good job illustrating it. I want to put those songs together and listen to them and get into that sort of timeless mindset and really absorb the lyrics and absorb what those songs are about. So yeah, all of Martin's book needs, martinpopoff.com. Don't forget History in 5 Songs, Martin Popoff, his podcast. Most recent one is curiously titled, I haven't listened to it yet, But for That One Song, which I can kind of tell what that's about, song that sticks out like a sore thumb. So what else have you got going on, Martin?
That's pretty much it. Well, actually, overnight, so I've just gotten in the new Cure panel book, which we've done with some of our Contrarians people. So this is actually kind of a Contrarians book in a way, but it's a panel Q&A on every single Cure album, and a timeline. I put together one of my detailed timelines per album cycle there as well. It's got a color section in it, so that's now up at the site. That just went up at the site overnight. It's called Wild Mood Swings, Disintegrating the Cure album by album. And the podcast and all that. And like I say, the Zeppelin book is now back in print.
Very cool. I want to thank everyone for watching this edition of The Contrarians. We will see you later.